I know it's here somewhere. Finally. Oh, it's time for the doctor. You're listening to Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. Take it away, Doctor.
Well, it's that time again, and the doctor is in. It's time for another Dr. Bill show, and today we're going to look at alternatives to Windows 11. And this is going to be a very different show. I'm going to start out here in Oracle VM VirtualBox. This is the manager screen. If you're not familiar with VirtualBox, it is a method by which you can run virtual machines within your operating system, whether it's Linux or Windows or Mac. In this case, I'm running under Windows, and I have cranked up some sessions here, created some VMs, and installed the various operating systems that we want to talk about. Now, let's start right here at the top with Elementary OS. You'll notice over here in the preview window that we have it running. And I'm going to come down here and pull up Elementary OS. Now, you'll notice that Elementary, this, by the way, is a distribution of Linux. Elementary looks a lot like a Mac. So if you're used to a Mac, you will appreciate Elementary OS. Now, I'm going to open up the web browser here, which they just call web. And I have previously brought it up and connected it to our drbill.tv website. So just basically bring that up so that you'll have a point of reference of the web browser under Elementary OS. But as you can see, you can surf the web just like you would with any other web browser. And I'm going to go ahead and close that out here now. And then we'll look down here at some of the other options. You've got Mail, you've got Tasks, Calendar, Music, Videos, Photos, System Settings, and App Center. And this is the other thing I want to look at with these various distributions. We're going to crank up App Center, and I'm going to take it to the home page. I had it doing updates earlier, so that's why I went to the update page. But basically, this is your App Center where you can choose from different programs that you want to install locally in a distribution. It's going to vary from distribution to distribution as to what it's called, how you get to it. Sometimes it's going to be called Software Center. In this case, it's called App Center. But this is a quick and easy way to install applications without having to know very much about Linux or the operating system. And you can come up here and search for applications. For instance, if I wanted to look and see if Chrome was available, and it's not, it's going to be totally dependent on what is in the App Center. If I want a word processor, let's look for LibreOffice. Don't see that either. So you'd have to become familiar enough with the distribution to know what is available. Now, if we go up here and look at applications, let's see what is installed with the distribution. We've already talked a little bit about App Center. We've got a calculator, a calendar, your webcam. Pretty straightforward here. Let me go over. And yeah, that's videos. So they do not install, they do install a document viewer for PDFs, but they don't install a word processor out of the box. So you'd have to go find one and install it. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of there and out of here. And that is Elementary OS. It's designed to look, as I said, very much like a Mac. And if you're used to that paradigm, then you'll be pleased with Elementary. Now, let's go to another one, which is Linux FX. Now, this one is very interesting. I'm going to bring it up over here, as you can see in the preview window. And then we're going to go down here to Linux FX. And if you'll notice from the logo here, it looks very much like Windows. And if you notice the icons down here, their Software Center looks like the Microsoft Store. It's not. But if we were to open that up, you can see that it is a Software Center to select software to install on this particular distribution. Now, despite the fact that it looks like Windows, it isn't Windows. This distribution is unusual in that it has a couple of different names. It actually is called Linux FX, but it's also called Windows FX, which can be a little confusing if you ask me. But okay, let's look at, where shall I go? Let's look at well, we've already talked software. Let's just look at Office. This is interesting because they do install an Office package with the distribution. And in their case, what they've chosen to do is use only Office. Only Office is software that looks very much like Microsoft versions of the software. So this looks a lot like Excel. However, this is only Office. So you can see if you're used to Excel, you could probably take to this very quickly. Now I'm going to go ahead and get out of there, and let's go back into the Only Office Center. And you can see you have a document, which would be your Word equivalent, spreadsheet, which is your Excel equivalent, presentation, which would be like PowerPoint, of course. And you can select from all these different options. If I wanted to create a new document, I could click in here, and it would bring up what would appear to a lot of people to be Word, but it's really not. I'm going to type in, this is a test. We'll highlight that, bold it. We can increase, or we'll change the font color here. We can increase the size of it by going to either creating a header or take it back to normal and increase the font size like that. So, you know, it's pretty similar to Word. If you're used to Word, you could work with this pretty easily. So let's, I don't want to save that. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Go back to our menu, and as you can see, it is very much like Windows in the way that this works. I think people would not have too much problem with it in terms of moving to this particular distribution if they're very Windows-centric. And that is really what recommends this one for Windows users more than a lot of others. So something to think about. Now, you can go into a lot of detail with a lot of these different things, but what I want you to see is if you go to System Settings and let's see some of the options here. Screensaver. I don't want to get into all of that. Let's look at System Info. So as you can see, they call it Windows FX here, Windows FX 10. I have it labeled Linux FX because it's also called that. It's kind of interesting. Would I use this particular operating system? Well, being someone who knows Linux as well as I do, I don't know if I would use this one. I did do an experiment, and I kind of hesitate to mention this in case he's watching, but I had a friend of mine who is not very computer savvy. Now, understand, when I say somebody's not computer savvy, there's no judgments here with regard to their intellect, all right? It's their knowledge of computers that I'm talking about. This guy was not very computer savvy. However, he saw one of my videos, and he said, hey, Dr. Bill, I'd like to replace Windows on my PC. Could you do that for me? And I thought, I don't know if this guy has the knowledge base to use Linux. But I said, well, sure, if you don't mind, we'll do it as an experimental basis. So I installed Linux FX, Windows FX, but anyway, that's where I got confused. Whatever you want to call it. I installed this on his PC. And he took it and used it for months. And I didn't get any phone calls. I didn't get any issues. He just was able to go in and run his applications off of the screen here, do his word processing, do his, Googling and all the other web activities he needed to do right from the screen. And I thought that worked rather well to have somebody that is not a computer nerd that could go in and use this particular operating system. So that kind of recommends it for folks that are interested in moving to Linux, but doing it in as painless a way as possible. Okay? So you may want to think about Linux FX. Now, let's move on to another. Well, let me save that one for later. Let's move to another one that's very unusual. This is React OS. Now, if you notice, React OS looks very much like an older version of Windows. This is a true Windows clone. Now, notice down here it says React OS version 0.4.1.3. Anything prior to version 1 is very much alpha software. And this is about as alpha as you can get. It's only recently even had a software center or applications manager, as they call it. And this allows you to at least go in and find software to install. Prior to this, all you had was the operating system, and that was it. You couldn't do anything else with it other than you bring up the operating system. And if you try to install a true Windows application, now keep in mind, this is not Linux. This is not Linux made to look like Windows. This is a group that is attempting a true Windows clone. In other words, open source Windows from the ground up. And talk about biting off a lot to chew. These guys, I don't know how they escape Microsoft breathing down their necks, okay? I think it's because Microsoft knows that they're really not much of a threat. You see what I'm saying? I've installed Mozilla Firefox from their application center, and sure enough, here it is. But it is a very old version. That's the thing about these applications that are in the application center. They're very old. Even LibreOffice, this is 5.4. Certainly not a recent version of LibreOffice. Is this workable to use? I'd say no. I think we can shelve this one. And, however, keep it on the radar, because if they ever get to version 1, if they ever have one that is a ready for release candidate, this might create some interesting waves out there in the computer world. So that's something to keep in mind. Now let's move on to Linux Mint. And I'm going to have to log back in here since it's gone to the screensaver. Linux Mint is probably one of the most, if not the most, popular Linux distributions out there. Linux Mint, in this case, this is the Cinnamon version. They have several versions. One is the Mate graphical interface. One is the Cinnamon graphical interface. And then they have, I think there's XFCE and a few others. But this is the primary two, is Mate and Cinnamon. This is Cinnamon. it's the most popular, the Cinnamon version. Now notice it's already got several things pre-installed. It's got LibreOffice, a fairly recent version of LibreOffice installed. If we crank up LibreOffice Calc here, you'll see that it pops up very quickly, even though this is a VirtualBox version. And notice it says you're running 6.4 of LibreOffice. Again, this isn't the most recent version, but it is more recent than what we saw in React OS, obviously. But you have everything here that you might need. Writer, Calc, Presentation Manager, etc., all available. So if you are looking for a more pure Linux to move to, this is still Windowsy enough that I think a Windows user could move to this and not have a terrible culture shock, okay? And the advantage to Linux Mint, because it is so popular, it is, and this is our Firefox screen from the Dr. Bill site, but it is popular enough that you can find answers readily on the web for any questions you might have about Linux Mint. Now, let's move on to Zorin. It's also gone to screensaver here, so I'm going to log back in again. Did I type that right? I don't think I did. Oh, good, I did. So, this is Zorin. This is the latest version of Zorin. And I really like Zorin. When I have moved to a Linux desktop for personal use, I vary between Linux Mint and Zorin. And the reason is Zorin is just a really nice, clean, what I would call pretty interface. And it really does a good job with everything. I mean, I like the way it even incorporates Wine, which is Windows is not an emulator, is what Wine stands for. Or Wine is not an emulator, I should say. But it emulates, quote unquote, Windows. It's really just a layer of Windows APIs that can be called under Linux and run Windows software. But here is LibreOffice. And as we've done with the other operating systems that we've looked at, we can run LibreOffice from here, and it's basically the same as what we've seen under others. Again, this would be a later version of LibreOffice. This is 7.1 that comes with the new version of Zorin. And it, like I said, I really like it. I like it a lot. This is Firefox on the Dr. Bill website that I have here that I'd pulled up earlier. Zorin incorporates Wine in a way that is very clean and very easy to use. If you want to try to install a Windows .msi file, like say you wanted to install Notepad++ and you downloaded the MSI, you could actually install it here and it would run, and you wouldn't have to do a lot of fancy back-end tweaking to make it work, which is really nice. So Zorin is pretty much the way I would go. And notice they already have the GIMP installed here, which I really like. That's what I use for my image processing, you might say. They have some games. I'm not a gamer, so I don't really care too much. But I mean, you know, simple stuff, Mines, which would be like Minesweeper, Sudoku, those kinds of things. As I said, that doesn't interest me that much. But this is a really nice distribution, and it's very clean. Now, they have their own software center as well. And crank it up here. As you can see, it looks very much like you'd expect, an app center concept. And you can go in here and explore and find what's available. You know, based on category, based on just searching for things. But for the most part, you're going to be able to find software that you can run and enjoy here. And I like the ability to right-click and set up your background. It's very much what you would be familiar with if you are a Windows user. And you can customize it and so forth. It's really nice. So I encourage you to look at Zorin if you're serious about moving to Linux. Now, we've looked at Zorin, Mint, ReactOS, LinuxFX, and Elementary. The other one I wanted to mention kind of as an additional add-in here is Makulu Linux. Now, the reason I mention that is because they have this interface that gives it a Windowsy look, okay? And you can actually change that with the desktop manager. Let me go back to, there we go. The desktop manager allows you to choose a theme, if you want to call it that, or a layout style, as they call it, that will give you options. If you click on Core here, it will transform the interface, as it says, and when it comes back, you will have the layout of Core, which is very much like Windows 11. It's going to have similarities to Windows 11 because they center the icons down here, like Windows 11 will. If I get rid of this, you'll see that you've got your Chrome that you can use as your web browser, as I've already set it here to drbill.tv. And you can run your applications from down here. Now, the main menu you can still access this way. This is, again, working very much like what Windows 11 will look like. But it's kind of, I don't know, modern, graphically pleasing. And I just thought it was a good little extra to throw into our consideration of different distributions that you might want to look into if you're not able to move to Windows 11 or not inclined to move to Windows 11. Your mileage may vary, whichever way you want to go or however you want to look at it. So just wanted to share some of this with you because these are all options. My concern about Windows 11 is we don't know where it's going to end up in terms of hardware support. If you have an older machine that may be perfectly usable, nice, powerful machine, but isn't supported by Windows 11, then you may want to look into some of these other operating systems. And Linux is a good way to go, again, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to drop all of these out and go back to our VirtualBox Manager. As you can see, I've got all of these running all at the same time, as you've seen there. And this is on my laptop. This is a Dell XPS 13, and it is running all of these virtual machines, and they're all running in the background, as you can see down here. And we've checked out all these different distributions as we flip through them there. And I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you've seen that you're not stuck with Windows if you don't want to be stuck. Okay? And maybe it's been instructive. All right, for now, the doctor is out of here.
Dr. Bill, the Computer Curmudgeon, is a production of DrBillDaily.net with all the honors, rights, and privileges thereunto appertaining.
If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ding the bell to be notified of future videos.